All right, guys, so what we're going to do today is exercise 207, questions 3, 4, and 5. The first question we're having a look at is question 3, where it says find the gradient of the interval ST in the diagram on the right side. So ST is this line right here, okay? So if we want to find the gradient, we have to obviously use the gradient formula, all right? So the gradient formula is given by m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're now going to use these two coordinates right here. I'll call this x2, y2 and x1, y1. So if we substitute these into the formula, y2 is simply 6, y1 is simply -2. So now we'll get 6 subtracted by -2 over x2, which is 2, subtracted by -2. Okay. So two negatives here become a positive, so 6 plus 2 gives you 8, whereas 2 plus 2 on the bottom gives you 4, and then 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. So your gradient of this particular line has a gradient of 2, all right? So now part B says find the midpoint of ST. Okay, so ST here has a midpoint which is around there, apparently. Okay, so we're trying to find out the coordinates of that point. So for question B, the midpoint is equal to the average of the x values, and the formula will be given by x1 plus x2 over 2. So that's the average of the x values. And then we're going to average the y values as well. So we're going to have y1 plus y2 over 2, just like that. Okay, so we've got the coordinates of x1 and y1 and x2 already. We're going to substitute those in. So x1 and x2 are right here. We're just going to substitute it into the formula. So that means that we get -2 plus 2 over 2. Then we'll get -2 plus 6 over 2. And that's the y1 plus y2 stuff there. So -2 plus 2 is 0. And you know that if 0 here is divided by the number 2, then it's just going to be 0. Next thing we're going to do is -2 plus 6. Now, -2 plus 6 is the same thing as 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is going to be the number 4. And 4 divided by 2 is simply 2. So we're just going to write 2 there. Okay? All right. So I found out the gradient of the line, and we found out the midpoint right there. Question C now says, the dotted line is perpendicular to ST and passes through the midpoint. What is its gradient? So it's saying this line is perpendicular to the other line, which means it crosses at 90 degrees, as you can see right there. And then you want to find its gradient. Okay, cool. So if you want to find its gradient, let's have a look at the gradient of this red line first. That was 2. So what we're going to do is m1 equals to 2, which is the same thing as 2 over 1. Okay, we can write it like that, if it's a whole number like that. Then m2, which is a gradient of this line, okay, m2 would be equal to the negative reciprocal of this. Okay, so if you swap these two numbers around, that will give you half. But then putting a negative right next to it, because that's going to change the sign from positive to negative, that gives you the gradient of the line perpendicular to the red line, which is the gradient of this line. So the gradient of this line is -half. Okay. All right. Then for question D, find the equation of the dotted line in the form y equals mx plus b. So this line here doesn't have the equation yet. We need to find that. Okay. Let me just make this smaller. I'll fit that right there. Okay. Here we go. So for question D, if we want to find the equation of the dotted line, we firstly start off with y equals mx plus b. Okay. Now we've already found m. Okay. M is our direction of the line, which is our gradient, and that's resembled by m2 being half, or -half, sorry. So we're going to replace m here by -half, like that. And our only thing that you need to find for this line is b. So this b value right there, we're going to find that, and to do that, we need to substitute values of x and y, like this. So where's my xy come from? Well, this line here passes through this point. And this point is basically what we found as the midpoint of this line. Okay, so this is actually 0, 2. It's the midpoint of this point and that point. And if that line now has a gradient of -12 and it passes through this, we're able to substitute these two values as our x and y values. So our x value now is 0 and our y value here is 2. So let's just substitute it in. Like that. So now you get -12 times 0, which is 0, plus b. So 0 plus b is b. So now we've found out what the b value is, which is now 2, and the m value is -12. So if we put those together, then y would equal to -12 of x plus 2. All right, and that's how you do question 3.